Okay, so let's start with the overview. This is probably the very first thing that you want to change when you create a new character, because the default overviews are pretty bad. Thankfully, a while ago, CCP made it possible to share overviews, and now there are a bunch of good community made overviews that you can simply load and use. The most common one probably is the EVUni overview. You can just Google it and you will find on the very first link in Google how to set it up. But in general, you just search for EVUni overview channel, click join, and then follow the instructions. The instructions are as simple as just clicking a couple of links. And the EVUni preset will load into the overview and it will look like this. Now you can go to the overview settings and adjust the overview that you're using. For example, you can go to tabs and add a couple of different tabs, or you can change the presets on filters or on brackets and so on. Now I won't go into too much detail on how to adjust and set up overview. It's a really big topic. I just want to point out a couple of useful tips and quirks that you need to know in faction warfare when working with the overview. So what's the general purpose of overview? Overview helps you to hide stuff that you don't want to see when you do a specific activity, and show stuff that you want to see while doing specific activity. For example, right now I'm on a combat tab, and when you're using combat tab, you probably don't want to clog up your overview with Rex. And this is why Rex are actually on grid. They are visible for me, but they are not on the overview. But for example, when you're looting, you may want to hide everything except the lootable stuff. So in looting tab, I do have the Rex, but I don't have anything else. For warp out, you want to have all the warpable objects and nothing else. So that when you get killed and you want to extract your pod as quickly as possible, you want as little stuff on your screen as possible to maximize FPS, so that you don't get podded accidentally. And here, as you can see, there are no brackets, and in the overview, just a bunch of warpable objects and nothing else, and so on. So this is like the whole point of the overview. And if you don't like something, for example, you want to add Rex on a specific overview, or if you want to filter out some of the brackets, you can either do it here in the overview settings and tabs and adjust them here, or you can simply right click on the overview and go to either filter, and now you have a whole bunch of community made filters, or you can go to bracket filter, and again you have a whole bunch of community made bracket filters and adjust from there, or you can do it in the overview settings tabs and adjust it here. Next is filter settings. So filter settings allows you to add or remove specific entities from the overview. As a general rule, the presets make sense, so you don't really want to add or remove something, but occasionally CCP adds an additional type of ship, and you may want to manually go here and add it to your overview. For example, let's say an assault frigate is added to the game. It will not be visible in your overview, it will be unselected like this. So you need to go here and select it manually. Otherwise it will not be visible in the overview. Another thing that you want to adjust is the exceptions. So exceptions essentially allows you to hide something depending on standings. or on some kind of timer or any other activity that the entity is doing. For example, it's very common to hide all the pilots that have excellent standings to you, so essentially hide blues, and you will not see blue pilots on the overview at all. Or it's very common to hide all pilots in your corporation or in your alliance or in your militia. And here is an important bit. If you are part of Faction Warfare NPC Corporation, when you may actually want to add your militia on the overview, at least on one of the tabs, just to be aware of what's going on. Because your militia doesn't really mean that you will not get shot by your militia. So just hiding it entirely may not be the best. And on most presets it will be filtered out. So if you want to adjust that, this is where you do it. Next is appearance. Appearance allows you to format the appearance of various entities. For example, you may want to add red background to pilots that are at war with your militia, and in this case you select red here, and so on. This is like purely subjective. Some people, for example, like to highlight pilots with neutral standings with this grayish black background. Some people don't like to format the appearance of neutrals at all. And you can also add different color tags. So this is clearly subjective. If you want to fiddle with that, you can. This will only affect the appearance in your overview. This is the settings for the combat log and for the stuff that you see here. Generally, it's better to just leave it the default. Yeah, you can see how it will look like. Generally, it's better to just leave it as default, but you may want to adjust it, and in this case, this is where you do it. Miscellaneous stuff and history. Miscellaneous is not that important. History, if you messed up somewhere, you can install or rather roll back all of your changes to one of the previous steps. So for example, this is all the overview settings that I used on this character. And I can simply click and the overview will change. Roll back to one of these states if needed. One final bit I want to say is that you should remember that the overview affects the directional scanner results. So for example, if I click scan, I will see all of the entities in the system, like stations or sun, and I will see all the ships, because combat settings shows all the ships. If, for example, something is missing in the settings, so just as an example, I will go here and I have mining barges on scan. So mining barge. So you can see right now it shows covetors on scan. And if I remove them from the overview, even though here nothing changed, here I will no longer see mining barges at all. So this is very important. Dscan only shows you stuff that is filtered in the overview. Once this is not in the overview, it will not show on the Dscan as well. So if I add back mining barge and click scan, covetors reappear. And similarly, for example, if I click on the loot, right now you can see that there are no wrecks at all because they're filtered out by the combat preset. But if I want to show recs on the DISCOM, now I have a bunch of recs on the DISCOM. Okay. So I hope you found it useful. In the next video, we will start talking about DISCON in more detail. This is another very, very crucial part of a UI in faction warfare. So see you there.